Welcome to Wisdom-Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2855 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom-Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. The title of today's Wisdom-Trek is The Song of Ascent, Stepping Through the Cosmic Gates. In our previous episode, we walked the treacherous, dusty trails of Psalm 121. We learned to lift our eyes away from the high places, where the pagan cultures worshipped their rebel gods, and fix our gaze entirely upon the Maker of heaven and earth. We discovered the profound comfort of the guardian who never slumbers and never sleeps. We realized that, even when the journey is steep and the wilderness is infested with dark, spiritual forces, the Lord Himself is our protective shade, guarding our souls as we come and go. Today, the long, arduous journey up the mountain pass finally yields its greatest reward. We have arrived. We are exploring the third song in this pilgrim collection, Psalm 122, verses 1 through 9 in the New Living Translation. The dust of the road is still on our boots, but the danger of the wilderness is now behind us. The traveler has transitioned from the vulnerability of the open, contested terrain into the ultimate secure fortress of the Most High God. Let us step through the gates and experience the joy of the cosmic center. The first segment is the invitation and the arrival. Psalm 122, verses 1 and 2. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go to the house of the Lord." And now, here we are, standing inside your gates, O Jerusalem. The psalm opens with a beautiful retrospective memory of an invitation. The psalmist remembers the exact moment back in his hometown, perhaps out in the distant, hostile territories of Meshech or Kedar, when his fellow Israelites turned to him and said, "Let us go to the house of the Lord." Notice his reaction. He says, "I was glad." This is not the mild, polite happiness of receiving a dinner invitation. This is a profound, soul-deep relief. To understand this joy, we must view the geography through the lens of the divine council worldview. The world outside of Jerusalem was heavily influenced by the fallen, rebel spirits, the Elohim who demanded worship from the disinherited nations. Living out in the countryside meant living in contested territory, constantly battling the oppressive, chaotic atmosphere of the pagan culture. But the house of the Lord was different. Jerusalem was the cosmic mountain. It was the intersection of heaven and earth, the literal footprint of Yahweh's throne room in the human realm. When the invitation came to go up to Jerusalem, it was an invitation to leave the oppressive domains of the rebel gods and return to the safe, centralized headquarters of the Creator. It was a call to come home. Then, in verse 2, the memory shifts to the breathtaking present reality. And now here we are, standing inside your gates, O Jerusalem. Imagine the sheer physical relief of this moment. After days, or even weeks, of sleeping with one eye open, guarding against bandits and predators, the pilgrim finally steps over the threshold. The massive, reinforced gates of the city close behind him, the wilderness is shut out. The anxiety of the journey instantly evaporates, replaced by the overwhelming sensory experience of the holy city. He is standing securely within the boundary lines of God's protected domain. The second segment is the architecture of unity and the gathering of the exiles. Psalm 122, verses 3 and 4. Jerusalem is a well-built city. Its seamless walls cannot be breached. All the tribes of Israel, the Lord's people, make their pilgrimage here. They come to give thanks to the name of the Lord, as the law requires of Israel. As the pilgrim stands inside the gates, he looks around, marveling at the architecture of his surroundings. He declares, "Jerusalem is a well-built city. Its seamless walls cannot be breached." Other translations render this, "Jerusalem is built as a city that is bound firmly together." This is not just a compliment to the local stonemasons. In the ancient world, a city with seamless, tightly bound walls was a fortress that could withstand the most brutal siege. But there is a deeper, spiritual metaphor at play here. The physical stones of the walls reflect the spiritual unity of the people standing within them. This unity is beautifully described in verse 4. All the tribes of Israel, the Lord's people, make their pilgrimage here. Remember the story of the Tower of Babel. When humanity rebelled, God confused their languages, divided them into 70 nations, and scattered them across the earth, placing them under the authority of the lesser spiritual beings. Babel was the ultimate act of division and scattering. But here, in Jerusalem, we see the glorious reversal of Babel. Instead of being scattered into chaos, the scattered tribes of Israel are magnetically drawn back together. They converge from the north, the south, the east, and the west, ascending the mountain to become one unified, seamless people again. The tribes leave their separate, localized identities behind, and they bind themselves firmly together within the walls of the holy city. And what is their unified purpose? They come to give thanks to the name of the Lord, as the law requires of Israel. They do not gather to celebrate their own military achievements, or to build a monument to their own greatness, as the rebels did at Babel. They gather for the sole purpose of expressing profound, collective gratitude to the name of Yahweh. The name represents God's reputation, His character, and His supreme, unrivaled authority over the divine council. By giving thanks to His name, the unified tribes are actively testifying to the surrounding pagan nations that Yahweh alone is the true King of the cosmos. The third segment is the thrones of cosmic justice. Psalm 122, verse 5. Here stand the thrones where judgment is given, the thrones of the dynasty of David. The pilgrim's eyes move from the defensive walls of the city to the ultimate center of authority. Here stand the thrones where judgment is given, the thrones of the dynasty of David. In the biblical worldview, true justice is the foundation of cosmic order. In Psalm 82, God holds a trial in the midst of the divine council, condemning the rebel gods because they judge unjustly, show partiality to the wicked, and fail to defend the weak and the fatherless. The spiritual rulers of the darkness have corrupted the earth with their chaotic, abusive legal systems. But Jerusalem is designed to be the absolute antithesis of that corruption. Here, inside these seamless walls, stand the thrones of David. God entered into an eternal covenant with David, promising that his dynasty would represent Yahweh's righteous rule on earth. These thrones are not places of exploitation, tyranny, or self-serving power. They are the seats of tzedekah, true, restorative, unbending righteousness. For the weary pilgrim who has just spent months living in the unjust, chaotic territories of the world, seeing these thrones brings immense comfort. He knows that here, in the cosmic center, the oppressed will find a fair hearing. The marginalized will be protected. The wicked will be held accountable. The thrones of David are the earthly guarantee that the Creator has not abandoned His universe to the lawless forces of chaos. The fourth segment is the weaponized prayer for shalom. Psalm 122, verses 6 and 7. Pray for peace in Jerusalem. May all who love this city prosper. O Jerusalem, may there be peace within your walls, and prosperity in your palaces. Having soaked in the beauty, the unity, and the justice of the city, the psalmist transitions from observation into active, targeted intercession. He issues a command to his fellow pilgrims. Pray for peace in Jerusalem. May all who love this city prosper. The Hebrew word for peace is our familiar, heavy, and profound anchor word, shalom. He asks us to pray for the shalom of Jerusalem. In Hebrew, the very name of the city, Yerushalayim, contains the root word for shalom. It is literally the city of peace. But as we have learned, shalom is not just the absence of conflict, it is the presence of absolute, flourishing wholeness. It is the perfect, harmonious alignment of all things with the will of the Creator. When the psalmist tells us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, he is not just asking for a temporary ceasefire with neighboring countries. He is asking us to pray that the cosmic headquarters of Yahweh will operate at its maximum divine capacity. This prayer for peace is actually an act of spiritual warfare. By praying for shalom within the walls and prosperity within the palaces, the pilgrim is actively resisting the forces of chaos that want to tear the city apart from the inside out. The enemy knows that if he can divide the seamless walls of Jerusalem, if he can corrupt the thrones of judgment, and if he can destroy the peace of the cosmic center, the light of Yahweh will be dimmed in the world. Therefore, the prayer for peace is a protective shield raised by the faithful to ensure that the city remains a beacon of hope for all the scattered exiles. The fifth segment is the outward ripple of cosmic order. Psalm 122, verses 8 and 9. For the sake of my family and friends, I will say, may you have peace. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek what is best for you, O Jerusalem. The psalm concludes by revealing the deep, unselfish motivations behind this intense prayer for the city. For the sake of my family and friends, I will say, may you have peace. The psalmist realizes that his own personal well-being is intrinsically tied to the well-being of the community. He is not praying for the city just so he can have a comfortable vacation. He is praying for the city because his brothers, his companions, and his fellow pilgrims depend on its stability. If Jerusalem falls, the entire community of faith fractures. But if Jerusalem flourishes in shalom, that peace ripples outward, washing over every family, every friendship, and every home represented within its gates. He finishes with the ultimate transcendent reason for his devotion. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek what is best for you, O Jerusalem. Above his own comfort, and even above the prosperity of his family and friends, his highest loyalty is to the house of Yahweh. The reputation of the Creator is bound up in the flourishing of his city. The psalmist vows to actively seek what is best for Jerusalem because he wants the entire watching world, both the human nations and the unseen spiritual principalities, to look at the cosmic center and see the undeniable, magnificent glory of the one true King. Psalm 122, verses 1 through 9, invites us to step out of the chaotic wilderness and into the secure, unified joy of God's presence. It teaches us that we were never meant to walk the pilgrim trail alone. We are called to converge, leaving our isolated, fragmented lives behind and binding ourselves firmly together with our fellow believers. When we gather in unity to give thanks to the name of the Lord, we become a seamless, impregnable fortress against the darkness. As you walk your trek today, remember the joy of the invitation. When the world feels unjust and the rebel forces seem overwhelming, fix your mind on the eternal thrones of David, knowing that true, restorative justice will ultimately prevail. Take up the weapon of intercession. Pray for the shalom of God's people. Seek the absolute best for your spiritual community, not just for your own comfort, but for the sake of your family, your friends, and the magnificent reputation of the house of the Lord our God. If you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us. And come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, and, most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through this Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, leave a living legacy each day.